So we move to the next part, right? How our softwares, which are generative AI softwares, or be it ChatGPT, Claude, are different from traditional softwares, right? Now, a lot of you guys would be from different departments. So let's say, for example, if you enter a formula in Excel, right? Every time you get same output in terms of the answer, or you keep getting different outputs all the time. Or if you enter a certain number in your payroll software as an HR, the income tax calculated is always same or different, right? Can you just reply with ABCD? You always get the same output. You may get different outputs all the time. It depends on the internet speed, or the system randomly changes the answer. On a standard software like payroll, accounting, billing, Excel, right? So I see pretty much everybody typing in, you always get same outputs, which is A, right? I believe everybody would agree to something like this. We get same output. Very nice. I see the audience is very interactive, so it is very encouraging. Now, all your traditional softwares, right? The way they are built is that the rules inside that software have been pre-programmed. That means, be it payroll, be it accounting, Excel formulae, ERP systems that you use day in, day out, right? The rules are pre-programmed in such a way that a certain input will always give same output, right? That is how all your traditional softwares pre-AI era were built, right? That kind of software is called as a deterministic software. Whenever the input is same and the output is same every time for that set of inputs, then that software is called as the deterministic software, right? Now coming to generative AI. Now let's say, for example, you type into generative AI, write a short email to a client requesting a meeting, right? You will realize that some AI tool gives me a formal output, some gives me a friendly output, some gives me an elaborate output, very long form email, some would give me concise output, right? In this case, what is happening is same input prompt is actually giving different output every time, right? This concept is called as a probabilistic output. All right. Now, probabilistic, it is very important to understand, does not mean it is inaccurate. As I spoke about confidence level, as I spoke about, a model understands and tweaks its confidence level basis a lot of things, right? Similarly, this does not mean probability is inaccurate probability. There is a range of accuracy, and probabilistic output will always fall in that range of accuracy. All right. But every time you give a different same input, the possible output is different. We just tried this few minutes back where you wrote something like, why teamwork is important. Everybody would have got different answers. In fact, in your same two prompts, you only got two different answers, right? This is what is the meaning of probabilistic output. And both of them were right. If you actually open your tool and read both the input outputs, both of them were right. You cannot say that A was wrong or B was wrong, right? Probabilistic means that the output can change, but the accuracy will remain at a certain level or in a particular range. I hope this makes sense. Can you give me a thumbs up if this is probably clear to everybody? What is deterministic output and a probabilistic output? Very nice. Very nice. All right. Now, let's do a very small exercise. And what we'll do is we'll again open a tool. I see another question. What if the models are trained based on error rate, error score? Will we get 100% correct answers? Or I'll come to that. I'll come to that answer also. So open any tool, open ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, Grok, anything you want. And let's write a simple prompt. Let's write a prompt which says, write an email requesting a meeting with a client. All right. Let's simply write a very simple prompt and let's see what is the answer that we get. Give me a thumbs up once you have, written that prompt and you have received some output. Very nice. Now, if you see, all of you guys, right, would get different wordings, would get different tone of the email, would get a different structure of the email also. All right. Now, what we will do is immediately after that, we will write a slightly modified prompt. We will say, write a professional email requesting a 30-minute meeting with a client next week to discuss the project timelines. What we have done here is we have added a few things. We have added professional as a word. We have added 30-minute meeting. We have added next week. We have added discuss project timelines. So we have given 4 different input parameters, right? Can you just enter this prompt and see what is the output? And can you tell me if the previous prompt or the new prompt, A or B or 1 or 2, which one gives you a more better output? Is it 1 or is it 2? I see some of you posting prompts output on the chat, which is nice. So just put both these prompts and tell me, whether 1 was better or 2 was better as an output. I see a lot of people saying 2 was better, more clear and concise. Very nice. I see pretty much everybody saying 2 was better. Very nice. So what happened here is the context of the second prompt was a bit more better. We gave the tool a bit more information about why the meeting was required, when the meeting was required, whether we wanted the email to be professional or friendly, whether we wanted email to be discussing about what. We gave project timelines as an input, right? Now, basically, we just added very few small 4 different changes and we saw the output being way better in the second prompt, right? Our upcoming session will be fully focused on how to make all your prompts in your department, in your everyday work, super contextual and very powerful, right? We will talk about how you define roles. We will talk about how you define, pre-context, context, post-context, what is the kind of output you are expecting, right? So our next session, which is, maybe alternate Thursday from today, would be focusing on how to continuously fine tune your prompts and ensure that you are able to extract the maximum out of your tools that you are using, be it any tool, ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, anything, right? So it makes sense. Slight more context actually changes a lot of gives you a lot of difference in the output. Is that okay? Everybody understands? Give me a thumbs up if you understand till now. Very nice. I'll quickly take the question which we saw earlier, which was about if it is trained on error rate score, we will get 100% correct answers or not. Now, the way AI has been trained, basis a lot of language data, right? What happens is there is no such thing as 100% correct answers. Correct answer being 100% is a very subjective thing. That is where I said the moment we, fine tune our prompts in such a way that our expected answer is received, all right, then according to us, that is an 100% correct answer. But at the same time, somebody else in some other organization, some other department would feel that this is not an 100% accurate answer, right? So it is actually the fine tuning and the level of prompting that you do which makes sure that the output of AI is as per your expectation. Does that answer your question, Sairam? I'll move ahead, right? So I just created a very quick summary for you guys so that you understand how does a traditional software operate and a generative AI software operate, right? Now, if you look at a traditional software, the first thing that should come to your mind is something like a calculator or an Excel. You give an input, exactly the same output every time, right? But when you look at a generative AI software, you should think of it as an intern, right? You have team members, interns with you. If you ask an intern to create an email, the email creation will be a bit different for every intern, all right? They will respond differently to every input that you give them, all right? But Excel for same input will always give you same output, okay? Traditional softwares generally follow all the rules. Interns on the other end will give you possibilities that if you ask me to write a particular email, I can write either formally, informally, casually, friendly tone. That is how AI would help you. AI will give you possibilities of an output. Traditional software will focus on a singular output, all right? We will take the questions again. Every time we do some exercise, we'll pick up questions. All right. So is this clear to everybody? Comparison between a traditional software, how that works, and a generative AI software, how that works. All right. It is more like an intern versus the Excel sheet that we use. Give me a thumbs up if everybody understands still here. We'll move to the next topic then. Very nice. Now, this is again basically a same quick question. Which statement actually describes generative AI? We just spoke about this, right? It always produces the same output. It generates responses based on probability. It would search the internet for answers, or it would receive stored answers. I think now everybody would be on the same page. I see good emojis coming up. That's so nice to see. I'll quickly check my internet if we are good. So I see pretty much everybody is writing B now and everybody giving us a thumbs up, which is good. All right, we'll move to the next point. Let's do a very quick experiment. All right, let's do a very quick experiment. A lot of team members would be available here, right? Can you quickly give me, are you from compliance or legal team? Are you from a marketing team? Are you from engineering team? Can you just write your team names, please? Can you write your team names, please? Somebody said finance and compliance, very nice. Somebody says legal, operations, very nice. Operations can consider them in engineering. Purchase, client relations so client relation can consider them in marketing. HR, marketing, sales, pre-sales can consider them in marketing. All right. So what we'll do is we'll do a very quick experiment. Great. So all the people who are sales, pre-sales, marketing fall under a marketing bucket. All the people who are finance, legal, compliance fall in compliance and legal. Or accounting also falls in compliance and legal. And all the people who are operations and engineering tech department fall in PPT is not visible.
Yeah,
I saw a comment which
has-
said PPT is not visible.
Yeah, Nicky, your PPT is not visible.
Is this visible now? Just
No.
a moment. I'll share again. Okay, I think the screen share probably got lost. Let me know if it's visible now.
Yes, let me pull it up.
Yep.
Yes, perfect.
Perfect. So as I said, these are the three teams we are talking about. We are talking about compliance. We are talking about marketing. We are talking about engineering. All the people in finance, accounting, compliance, legal go in bucket A. Sales, pre-sales, marketing. Everybody who is related to revenue goes in marketing. Engineering, ops fall in engineering category. Now, what we'll do is we'll ask a very small question, and I want to see your opinions. All right. Let's say we as a team of 700 odd people who are on the group, okay, we have to launch a UPI payment application. What should we focus on? Can you just write maybe one word, two words on what we should focus on? Cyber security, I get. Engineering, I get as an answer. Engineering was the previous question. Sales, I get as an answer. Not, no. What is no? Planning is what I get. Compliance and security. UI is what I get as an answer. Engineering, all right. Can data implementation, somebody from valid UPI account, very nice answer. Security, can you QA, regulatory framework, so nice. Security, again, easy to use, somebody giving a UI UX input, very nice. Integrations, that's good to hear. Atul says no. Do you want me to share the PPT again? I see a few no's. It says ease of use. It says ease of process with security. It says app is functioning as expected or not. Very nice. Support team. Bank accounts should be linked to UPI accounts. That's a very interesting answer. Data synchronization. So nice. Somebody from tech is thinking that. Regulatory permissions. Again, a very nice thing to think of. Very nice. So now, if you actually look at this, what happened just now? What happened just now is all the people who are compliance and legal were focusing on have a bank account which is linked to UPI accounts, processes, QA. All of you guys were focusing on risk and compliance, right? All the people who are marketing would be thinking about when to launch the product, how to position the product, how to compare it with a competitor, etc., etc. And all the engineers and ops guys would be thinking scale, efficiency, feasibility, integrations, data safety, cyber security, right? Does that make sense? Give me a thumbs up if this makes sense, that all the people who are related to compliance were thinking risk and compliance. Everybody in marketing was thinking positioning and, how to go to market. Engineering was thinking scale, feasibility, etc. This happened, right? Everybody's brain was simulated in that way. All right. Exactly the same way AI functions. Every model, right? The answers that you get from every model is based on the training data of that model, is based on a reward function, that how a particular model would be rewarded if it gives the right answer. What are the safety parameters? What is the output style? I'll quickly touch on all these things. All right. Now, let's say, for example, Facebook wants to create AI. The data that Facebook has is all the photographs, personal events of all of us, right? So the core training data that all the Facebook models would have would be all our personal data. Microsoft, because of its penetration in Office, PowerPoint, Excel, would have that kind of data. Google would have all internet data, search related data. So that becomes the core training data of all the models that these companies create. All right. Reward function is basically how a model is rewarded. I will talk in detail about this in the next slide also. Safety parameters is basically the guardrail. Somebody asked a question sometime back. I think it will be answered here. Safety parameters. I don't know if you guys have tried. There are models from China, DeepSeek and Quen. There are other models also, but one of the few famous ones are DeepSeek and Quen. All right. Now, a lot of people tried to ask it questions related to Chinese government, but it never answered because there was a safety parameter or a guardrail, around those models that anytime there is a question around Chinese government, we don't have to answer. But on the other end, if you look at Grok, because it positions itself as a, public first, truth-based model, it doesn't have those kind of guardrails. All right. And output style is generally whether, models should create a concise output, a document based output, a paragraph based output, a bullet point based output. That is your output style, right? This is exactly the way all of us function. Now, if you look at your answers, you were also thinking basis all the training that you have received. A legal guy was thinking compliance, risk. Marketing guy was thinking go-to-market positioning. Engineer was thinking cyber security, UI, UX. That is your training data. Right? And reward function is basically how do you create the product and an output so that you would be rewarded. Does that make sense? Give me a thumbs up if this something like this makes sense to everybody. Very nice. We'll come to that. Prakash, so this is exactly the point. AI works in the same way, but the underlying data, on what point they are rewarded, they are different. That is why they function differently. You will see in the coming slide also, right? What we'll do, now, this is what we spoke about already. If you look at compliance as an angle, right, you were optimizing for risk reduction. You were thinking that my account should not go down, my banking relation should not go down, my contract should be solid, right? Similarly, an ops guy was thinking to optimize efficiency and scale. Okay. Similarly, marketing guy was optimizing for revenue, that we should get more and more money into the product. All right. This is exactly the reward function of each department. A compliance guy is rewarded with a good appraisal, with a good, team promotion, etc. when they reduce the risk for the organization. A marketing or a sales guy is rewarded when they bring in more revenue for the organization. An operations guy is rewarded when the application does not go down ever. Okay, that is efficiency and scale. Okay, so you all think basis your reward functions. Exactly in the same way, AI thinks in the form of a reward function. Some of the AIs have a reward function that you have to be accurate all the time. Some of the AIs have a reward function that your answer should be very fluent, very to the point, nice English, polished English. Some of the, I will talk about what is reward for AI there. So let's say, for example, ChatGPT, all right. There are some models in ChatGPT. The knowledge base is internet data, public data. But the model is rewarded if it gives more polished and English answers, better English answers, right? There are some models which are rewarded if the accuracy of the output is very high. Okay. Some models are rewarded that your answer has to be very fast so that the user doesn't have to wait. Okay. So every model has a different percentage of rewards on all these parameters. Does that make sense? Give me a thumbs up if this makes sense to everybody. We will talk about rewards again. I'll show you a table which gives you a complete picture of this. So there is a reason when you say safety, it is also about whether the data can be leaked via AI model, right? Accuracy is something which is a trade-off with speed also sometimes. Accuracy is something which is a trade-off of how latest your information is. So let's say, for example, my model to be super accurate for today's data has to read all the websites for today's news every day. All right. If I don't have that capability to scrape the internet so fast, then I compromise a bit on accuracy, but I ensure that my fluency is very nice, or I ensure that my safety and speed is very nice. Does that answer your question, Prakash? All right. So now what we'll do is we'll try to understand what are the kind of things you guys do every day. All right. I'll put in a link on chat. I would request all you guys go on that link and, try to enter this data. What this will do is, we'll understand what are the kind of daily tasks that you do. And basis that we will, bifurcate into how these tasks should be picked up and how AI should help you in all these tasks.